What did you think of the Super Bowl halftime show? Kendrick Lamar's performance? Well, that's what this person wants to find out. Now, before we go into that, I want to ask you, what did you think about the entire showcase? I think that the Super Bowl, this particular Super Bowl, there was a lot of moving parts to it. First, there is the game, but as the post result or post game conclusion, you can see that people are not really talking much about the game other than people from Philly wrecking their own hometown. And that's what you're gonna see in the news mainly when you, I guess, see how people are celebrating post game. You're gonna see a lot of Phillies just trashing their own city, which, as it turns out, that's a pattern of people from Philly. But overall, beside the game being it's a very short game. That was it, right? So I think that was it. There was a lot of stuff going on. The president was there, people booing Taylor Swift for absolutely no reason. That was very confusing. But I think the highlight from the showcase, from the Super Bowl, it's almost like the Super Bowl was Kendrick Lamar's whole performance, right? So the thing is that a lot of people, it was the most speculated or the most watched Super Bowl. I'm sure he probably has much to do with it when it was announced that Kendrick Lamar, that is, was going to be performing. I think that a lot of people were anticipating or curious rather if he was going to perform that one hit track, They're Not Like Us. And people really tuned in to see if that was going to happen. And guess what? It did. A lot of it is because of the hype, the diss track between Kendrick and Drake. And of course, Drake wasn't even helping himself, right? He made it even worse by trying to, sue Kendrick Lamar to the label, record company that is, the music was released under. And that turned into this whole global beefing, right? Where it kind of tells you something here about pettiness, if you want to call it that, or if you're not petty at a national scale, then you're not doing pettiness properly or beefing properly, right? So note to self, be careful who you go against upon. That's one of the things that about picking a fight, right? You're going to pick a fight most of the time you're going to win if you're a troublemaker. And one of these days, you're going to run into somebody who is going to smash your face. And that's basically what ended up happening in this non-physical beatdown that Drake received. Most importantly, the point that I wanted to make was that when post game, right, I wanted to see how people were reacting. And a lot of it pretty much was surrounded around Kendrick Lamar's performance. A lot of people saying, well, they couldn't hear. A lot of people saying they couldn't understand what he's saying like this.
Everybody must be judged.
You understand what he's saying?
Nope.
Why don't they have words at the bottom so that you can understand what he's saying? I'm still waiting to be uplifted. I'd even settle for a little entertainment.
This is terrible. I'll admit
It
it.
is. It's horrible.
Come on, you gotta feel it.
Can we get some closed caption on this?
Make it.
I'm trying to hold it together.
You gonna make it?
Now they bring on somebody that I still can't understand.
All right, it's over.
There's 30 minutes of my life I won't get back.
The entirety of the message that Kendrick Lamar displayed was lost on a lot of people. I mean, most of the people who it was lost on was people who grew up in this country, but people who didn't look like him. Again, this isn't me chiming in on my subjective with my subjective answers. It's evident. It's if you go on social media and you will see that a lot of people documented their action, saying that is the worst halftime show. And if you look at the person or the persons who are saying this or displaying these microaggressions, it's usually the people who didn't look like or don't look like the artist himself. And we see this we have seen or continue to see these microaggressions throughout history. We're seeing it in government now with the DEI program, right? Just to undermine marginalized people. And my whole takeaway is that it's really sad the fact that they're making these videos, they're putting these videos out there, setting like that one video you saw with the gentleman saying, "What is he saying?" But here's the thing: if it was any other artist, right? Let's say country singer, you wouldn't see the level of remark, the pejorative display of, or the subtle outrage that some people were displaying, laughing, "Oh, I couldn't understand what he was saying," or because you don't understand it, therefore it's bad, right? That's basically what it is. I think that they were expecting him to come out and do a backflip, just dance, right? Just dance in circle. And the irony was lost in what the message that he said. Because remember when Samuel L. Jackson came out, was basically saying, hey, yeah, the whole idea behind that was that, yes, America is going to expect you to be proper, right? For you to speak in a way that will please them. Forget about your cultural influences. And even though that was the message that was put out there publicly, and it was still lost on some people. And I think that it's a real shame that, again, most of the people who are just flailing, okay, with their microaggression, I think that they're older people that you grew up in a country where, let's say, somebody doesn't look like you, somebody who've been here, or your neighbors who've been here for a generation, but you've been in this country 40, 50, 70, 80 years old, and you have no idea about anything about the culture of your neighbor. So that just says a lot about who you are. And to make a video displaying, family members showing their parents or their grandparents, yeah, it's just sad. No, it says a lot about who that individual is. It says a lot about who or what that family is all about. That you didn't do your due diligence to know about or learn anything about that person's culture. But it's very easy for you to dismiss somebody instead of, how can I learn from, what is this person saying? What am I not understanding? Instead of trying to be open-minded, just by their facial expression, by their verbiage, you can just see that they were already guarded from the get-go, which is a shame because they missed out. I mean, this guy talked about 40 acres and a mule, which is quite a historical incident that happened in America. But again, with banning books and suppression of Black history and such in America, then yeah, of course, people are not going to know anything about it, or maybe be open-minded about wanting to learn. But they will be quick to step on the other person because the other person looks different from them. The other person speaks in a way that isn't pleasing to them. That was my takeaway. But it wasn't all bad though, because I saw some other videos as well of people who didn't look like him, who fully understood the message. I think that all the negative stuff that I saw coming from how the halftime show was bad, it's not from any person that looked like Kendrick Lamar. It's somebody who didn't look like him. But again, kudos to those other people who didn't look like him, who understood. I mean, there's on social media, there's a few people who made a video just kind of trying to educate people in their group, like, hey, listen, this is what it is. And I think this is the problem with America, is that America is so not only close-minded to the rest of the world, but close-minded to its own people. I mean, look at what's happening right now in the country. Everybody's so divided, and if you're not part of a group, if you're not part of one group, then you are the enemy of another group, but you cannot be an individual. You cannot be impartial to your own idea. You always have to be an enemy if you disagree on what a certain group is talking about. And so I think that was my absolute takeaway from the post-time show, that we have to do better as human beings, try to understand culture, try to understand individuals that are different from us. Kendrick Lamar is an artist. People forget that. And artists are not going to speak to you in a way that makes sense. They're like the same way mathematicians, they they dress weird, they talk weird, they talk in numbers, and sometimes we think that they're crazy, but they're brilliant people. Kendrick Lamar does the same thing with rap music. He's an artist. Before this Super Bowl incident, before Drake incident, if you know it's not about rap, if you know anything about artists, you know exactly who Kendrick Lamar is, that he is that artist. So the fact that some people didn't recognize him as being a worthy artist, that they didn't just rap, they didn't just come on there on the stage to tap dance for people, to make people happy. He sent a very important message that just went over some people's head. Instead, they want to make videos and showing that, oh yeah, this guy is terrible. What is he saying? But all I see is just people ridiculing themselves because you failed to understand. You failed to do your own homework. And that's my takeaway. I mean, what do you think? What's your impression of this? All right, bye.